Today our topic is pandemic resilience, and then we're going to tackle the problem of mental health policy. And then we're group 4, our group members are upstairs. In our presentation, we're going to talk about the current situation in Taiwan, and as well as the problem we focus on. And then we'll talk about our governance vision and our values. And then following, we're going to talk about our actions and our strategies, how we tackle the problems, and then come up with a brief summary of it. Okay, so first, let's talk about the introduction of it. During this pandemic period of time, we observed that the situation right now in Taiwan is actually not only harm our mental health, but also our economics as well. And during this period of time, the problems such as inadequate allocation of the resources, and as well as the imbalanced focus on vaccines and also our mental health. So here we focus on 3 I's, which is inadequate, imbalance, and ignorance. What I mean by inadequate, is it working? Inadequate, it's not working, okay. It's working, okay, so inadequate emphasis on mental health policy. What I mean by inadequate means that we lack of budget. Okay, so can you guys imagine that our budget? Okay, so here's our budget. Only 1% of our budget is going to our mental health issues. And then per citizens only receive $20-ish per year for our mental health issues. Imagine that the government only supports us for only $20-ish. It doesn't make any sense, right? So this budget is actually below the World Health Organization suggestions, and as well as the world average budget. So, where is it? Okay, so here's the treatment of it. We also understand that through our presentation, we also talked about the insufficient treatment and therapists. Can you please press the next slide? Okay, cool. So challenges for teletherapy. We found out that teletherapy is actually one of the new techniques for the world to tackle the problem, especially under such a digitalization world. But the challenges now for our therapists is that the lack of flexibility is that imagine the therapist, they will have to go to the hospital to do their job, to do a face-to-face online therapy. But it doesn't make sense because the hospital is so dangerous for therapists to go to the hospital. So we found out that it's the problem of the lack of working flexibilities. And then for community, we focus on that they are forced to suspend their face-to-face counseling. So under it, we can see the related policy, they're actually non-unified. So we can see that each state, they've got their own policies regarding mental health, and as well as the challenges for teletherapy. So on the right-hand side, you guys can see the challenges for the treatment is that systematically is not unified, as well as the regulations, the laws, like everything in the system has to be fixed. So this is the inadequate that we're talking about. So next, we're talking, okay, so now we're talking about the imbalance of it. So, can you please press next slide? No. Okay, so imbalance emphasis. What I mean by imbalance is that nowadays we see on the news that they're talking about the vaccine so much that I asked few delegates that came to our posters that when I was explaining, I asked them, have you guys ever seen any mental health advertisements that are promoting that for us that we have to focus on mental health? No, none of them say that they have seen one of them. So that's why we think that this imbalance emphasis from the government, it's inequality that they focus on physical health more than mental health. Okay, so next, the third one is ignorance of it. So this is actually kind of cultural issue, that our Chinese people, we tend to focus our group, our friends, more than ourselves. So which means that we're neglecting ourselves, we're neglecting our own mental health. So this is a problem that we observe in Taiwanese society. So, next. So we're going to talk about our vision. So let's get straight into our values. Okay, so here we categorize 3 A's values. We divide it into 3 different levels. The first one is individual, and the second one is community level, and the third one is state and societal level. So for individual, we create accessibilities. It means that we want individual, they all have the access to the services. And for community, it means that we have to raise the awareness of it. Everyone has to be aware of their mental health. And then for the third one is that the state and societal level, it means that we have to increase the accountability of it. We have to increase, like, for example, today our government published one policy. So what? We don't care about it. So what they need to do first, they need to make the public believe in their policies. So now let's talk about the actions that we're going to take. Okay, next. Okay, so here are some actions that we found, and then we divided into 4 different levels, from individual, organizations, government to society. So we divided them into each of them into short-term and long-term solutions, but only for society that we only come up with long-term solution, because we think that society is hard to change in the short-term period of time. So let's get straight into individual. So the short-term for individual, that we can take mental health quizzes that is provided on the MHA Association, which stands for Mental Health Association, that we can take the test and then re-examine if we have some problems with ourselves. Probably we don't know it, but if we take the test to evaluate our own self-condition, that means that we are all aware of our own self-awareness of mental health. So which leads to a long-term solution, sorry. Okay, so how can we raise our own self-awareness of it? We talked about it. We do evaluation by ourselves. We raise our awareness by ourselves. So we created impact through our youth power. We talked about it, talked about it to our friends, like, hey, I recently did this kind of evaluation. What do you think about it? I think I have some problems. Talk about it, talk it into existence. So next, leading to the organizations level. Next slide, please. Okay, so for the short term, organizations part. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you can see there's a short-term solutions of it. How can organizations do? Okay, so they can provide additional assistance and also provide education to the public. What I mean by addition, it doesn't mean that the government didn't provide enough services, but they have to do more. So for us, we tend to think that organization is kind of like a bridge for individual and as well as the government. It connected the individual and the government. So it's a pretty important bridge that for long term, we hope to strengthen this connection. Okay, so next slide, please. We will talk about the government's level. So there are a lot of things that the government can do from short term to long term. Okay, so next slide, please. So for government level, okay, thank you. For government level, it's still not working. Can you? Yeah, for government level. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we can see basically all these words conclude in 3 words: fix the system, fix the law. What law? I mean 心理师法. So it's a mother law of the whole therapy, whole mental health policies issues. So on the right-hand side, we can see the long-term problem. So how long-term solution? Like how can we tackle it in the long run? So we can propose more systematic. We can improve our system by integrating our system together to make it better for the therapist to tackle down the problem from the individual. So next, for the society level, is the last one that we have to establish. We have to establish a healthier attitude toward mental health, as well as we have to reshape, we have to rethink about what's our definition for mental health, all right? So for the last one, I would like to summarize my presentation into 3 sentences. The first one is, although we are facing such challenges in our life, our economy goes down, and we're in the crowds, like everyone lives in the crowd, but what we can do is that following our 3A values, recognizing those 3 I's questions: inadequate, imbalance, and ignorance. And with our solutions for different levels, we categorize them into 4 levels. It's simply because some people come to our poster in front of us and ask, okay, so what can I do? Focus on yourself, focus on your level, like what level are you in right now? For example, I'm a university student. What I can do is I focus on my individual level and then focus on it and then see the short term, what I can do. Okay, so for myself, I can do mental health crisis. Or for a long run, I can start establishing a great attitude toward it. So at the end, it's all about we establish a feasible solutions. We establish effective and inclusive solutions to tackle down the problem, to help our society and thrive post-pandemic. And that's our presentation for mental health policies. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much.